Before we continue with this video, man, we're going to bring you some information that didn't make it into our previous video. So now we're going to share the information that came out on GE about a possible market move for Flamengo. An important market opportunity, a big possibility for a signing. Flamengo would have to compete against a Major League Soccer club, clubs from Saudi Arabia, and some top-tier teams from Europe. But the player's desire, Flamengo's desire, and depending on the project that Flamengo presents, it could be interesting. Flamengo might be able to achieve something good for him. Hey man, are you holding this here? Hey, it's all good here. It's all good. I'm with Atinho, man, so I'm recording this for you guys. Look, we're going to bring you this important information. I just wanted to start right away by bringing the opinion of Flamengo fans. If Luis Suarez, look, Paulo Henrique Fute, if Luis Suarez came, why not him, right? It's 1% chance, 99% faith, Adilio Melo. I even pinned his comment here.
It's the...
Evo Mrs. Botu said here, it's old and expensive. I'm a fan, but it's a lot of money per year. But you don't have to spend on signings, right? I'll explain the situation to you guys. Leva is 37 years old, plays more. Look at that, Professor Campello. Leva, at 37 years old, plays better than anyone here in Brazil, right? I'm going to pin this amazing comment.
Okay.
I totally agree, but I'm just giving my opinion, and I'm letting you guys give your opinions too, okay? In the head-to-heads of any Brazilian sports show, Lewandowski versus Renato Kaiser. He's a good striker, but today I'll go with Renato Kaiser. The guys would be commenting afterwards if he happened to come. It's true, we're going to do that a lot.
It's Acavaito.
Saying it that way, Felipe Luis will claim he doesn't fit the style. No, that's not it either, man. It just isn't. It's Hugo Gemesio between him and Pedro right now. I prefer him.
Man.
He's a player who speaks for himself, but there's no need to compare him to Pedro either.
Right?
And people aren't asking anything about Harry Kane. The other one wants to trade him for Lucas Paquetá. Take it easy with Lucas Paquetá, guys, okay? Yeah? Take it easy with Lucas Paquetá. People are saying, I'll give it a pass because it's Carnival, but no, man, it's real news from GE. The player will be free on the market. It's a great opportunity. Yeah? I'm not even going to get my hopes up. Flamengo, who's the top scorer in Azerbaijan, not that either, man. That's not it, so no. Yeah, it's turned into a retirement home. People are kind of divided, right? There are some people talking about the age and all that, right?
Look at the guy talking.
There are a lot of good players to sign here. That one is really good, but his age doesn't help. He plays one game and then goes 10 without playing. Bruno Machado is there. We know that, right? The thing is, for example, not being able to play all the time. But over there, he's been playing a lot now, of course. At 37, it's a different situation, but he's been playing really well. It got dark. I'm going to bring in Otinho. You're going to watch the video cut here now, which didn't notify, and also the news about the transfer market. We show up like that. What's up, guys? Red and black greetings. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're just arriving, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below. Turn on notifications by clicking the bell and leave that awesome like on the video. We're here to remind you that on YouTube shopping, you can get this jersey, the icon right here. It's not cheap, okay? It's one of the most beautiful Flamengo jerseys I've seen. Man, this right here, this velvety CRF, the velvety Adidas, man, it's really beautiful. This jersey is one of the most beautiful Flamengo jerseys. With a collar, look, a polo collar, man, it's spectacular. I love this jersey, right? Otto, I love this jersey. Otinho is here with me, right? He's here playing, keeping an eye on the Guaxinim, right, Otto, man? So where do you find this jersey here? It has identity, it has Diamantes Negros, it has Feruza, which is historic. There are many other Brazilian jerseys. There's the Game 1 jersey, the current Adidas one. Beautiful, right, Otto? Beautiful. So you can find them all here on YouTube shopping. You can get it right now with Cara e Filho. You can get it Buying official products here, especially from Flamengo's Shopee store, really benefits Flamengo since Shopee is their main sponsor. You really help Mengo with the royalties and you also help our channel. I'm going to start right away by talking about this news that just came out on GE. It was on GE. Check out this news right now. At the end of his contract, Lewandowski has 5 offers, but he will wait for the Barca elections. You won't believe who's really strong in the race to sign Lewandowski. It's not possible that Flamengo can't compete for this signing. Guys, yeah, but he's 37 years old, about to retire. He's out of the usual standard, but he's a Galactico. He's a Galactico. He would dominate Brazilian football. Chicago Fire here, Chicago Fire from Major League Soccer. We also bring you news about them. We're always following Major League Soccer, right? Since I live here, I follow Major League Soccer. I know what's going on. Today, I see that Chicago Fire doesn't even come close to Flamengo in terms of financial potential for signing players. Yeah, son, they don't come close. So look, there's Milan keeping an eye, Atletico de Madrid and Fenerbahce too. Then you know the situation is even more complicated. And there's also an Arab team interested. So it's even tougher because those guys have a lot of money. But man, the one that's really pushing hard is Chicago Fire. And what about Lewandowski, man? His contract ends on June 30th. It's almost over. He can already sign a contract. He can sign in the next transfer window. So Lewandowski can already sign. He's attracting interest from some clubs. And Flamengo could get in on this. Why not Milan? Several big clubs around the world are interested, right? Fenerbahce. For Virgilio, for you Zanotto, Atletico de Madrid. Why doesn't Flamengo pursue this too? So, look, he won't make any decision before March 15th when the Barcelona presidential elections will be held. The Polish man's wife, who's 37 years old, took a business trip to Chicago and considered if the American city would be a good option. Of course not. Rio de Janeiro is much better. Last week, in a press conference before the 3-0 win over Mallorca, in which Lewandowski even scored a goal, coach Hans Flick avoided making any predictions about his player's future. Obviously, we've already talked and the season isn't over yet, so we don't know what might happen. I know he would like to play more and be a starter, but the situation is what it is. He's in good shape, in a good mood, and I want him to enjoy the current situation. We'll see what happens now. It's not the time. We know what could happen. I'm not worried, said the coach. Flick. The German coach Lewandowski played in 28 out of Barcelona's 36 games this season, 16 as a starter and 12 as a substitute. If we count the 16 games as a starter, the goal numbers are impressive. That's 13 goals for Barcelona, having only 16 games as a starter. It's high level, guys. It's still high level for Brazilian football, so it's high level in Europe. It's high level in Europe. If the guy played 16 games as a starter and has a total of 13 goals he has, counting the games he started, he has a very high average of goals per match, almost 1 goal per match. If we include games he played as a substitute, the situation changes. We'll have about half a goal per match, but still playing for Barcelona, that's very good. Is it 22 there? He won La Liga twice, the Copa del Rey, and the Spanish Super Cup 3 times. He scored 114 goals for Barcelona, buddy. 114 goals in 175 matches. Out of those, he started in about 120 matches and provided 21 assists. Look at the quality he has. He has 114 goals plus 21 assists. That's 135 direct goal involvements in 175 matches. And in many of those, he wasn't even a starter. Do you understand what Lewandowski is? 37 years old, man? I know, but he's still way above the rest. A final contract, maybe for a year or two at most, he'd still stand out in Brazilian football. Does anyone doubt it, or does anyone agree with us that Lewandowski would be a good choice, man? It would be fantastic. That's a market opportunity, and he could sign in the middle of the year. He could sign mid-year. If Flamengo brings an interesting offer, talks to him about Flamengo's project. For sure, man, for sure, Flamengo has already convinced other big players. Why not? Wouldn't it be symbolic, my friends? Wouldn't it be symbolic? Look, just bringing the information here, since we already started straight with the transfer market. Flamengo could make more than 10 million reais with Alan's transfer to Corinthians, right? How is Flamengo going to guarantee 10 million, right? Flamengo is going to save because look, Alan's salary becomes their responsibility. That means about 12 million less coming out of the budget this year. This information comes from Coluna do Fla. So we've already had 2 months, right? So it's 10 million, it's 12 million per year, 10 million less that Flamengo stops spending. Look at that. So besides that, Flamengo secured it. There you go. Mauro Cesar said it's 60%, $2.5 million for 60% of the rights. Here the article says it's 15.5 million reais for 50% of the rights. I know it's around that range, guys, about 15 million reais to buy the rights that's in the purchase option, okay? At the time, Flamengo spent 35 million reais to sign him and might be getting back only 15. It's about accepting the loss so you don't lose everything. So, considering the $10 million they won't spend until year's end, and since they almost didn't use the player because he doesn't play, and then you end up totaling 25 million reais if he's sold, and you'll still keep a part that I think will be very hard to recover. Earlier, we also brought him talking about the stadium issue, right? That Flamengo won't go into debt with high interest, paying for 2 Paquetás a year just to have a stadium, right? That's just an interest, not signing players. It doesn't make any sense. And he explains that our revenue was over 320 million euros, 2 billion reais this year, and will surpass 300 million euros, 1.8 billion. And it could be even more, with prizes again. I think that if we made a global ranking of the 20 clubs with the highest revenue, Flamengo would probably be in first place. Among those who spend the least of their revenue, I have the financial capacity to spend 40% or 50% more than I spent today, and it wouldn't affect me at all. Guys, what he just said is very important. He implies that he could invest in 2 more players worth 42 million euros, that he would be able to sign a lot more. That's right, son. I'm sure Flamengo already has a very strong squad and wouldn't need much more. A striker is important, and he makes it clear he has the money to sign one. I'm here rocking, guys, because I'm moving his stroller. Flamengo is able to sign a striker and pay a lot for it. That's why I mentioned the business opportunity. Make a 2-year contract with Lewandowski, offer him a good salary, a nice life project in Brazil with an apartment and a house. Corinthians doesn't really do it like they say, right? They say they do, right? With Memphis. Flamengo could make a project. Flamengo has the money for that. A project, bring the guy, a different kind of project, and the guy would end his career at Flamengo, man. That would be spectacular. They wouldn't have to spend money to sign him because his contract is ending. He'll be free. He can already sign in June, right? Birthday present for Paparazzo. Paparazzo is turning 48. I'm getting old. 48 years old in June 15th, so that's already Paparazzo's present. In BAP, Flamengo also closed deals here, right? Yeah, look, Flamengo has agreed to sign midfielder Juan Sayago, a promising talent from River Plate. Okay then? According to Todo Noticias y Canal Sports from Argentina, Flamengo has agreed to sign midfielder Juan Sayago. The deal will be a 1-year loan. The player is already in Rio de Janeiro undergoing medical exams to initially join the under-20 team of the most beloved in the world. The red and black team will have a purchase option set at $1 million, about 5.2 million reais for 50% of the economic rights of the 18-year-old athlete. Okay, so there are 6 sports bringing the news that Flamengo signed Juan Sayago, a midfielder from River Plate. He's their big revelation. There, Flamengo managed to bring him in, managed to sign him. We also have another situation here. Let's even congratulate João Gomes. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday! The fans are sending their congratulations to João Gomes, wishing all the best for him, right? He's even on the list of players being monitored by Flamengo, which we told you about yesterday. It's very hard to bring him back, but he's on the monitored list, right? So we'll wrap up here by talking about BAP, right? Yeah? Commenting about Sociedade Anônima do Futebol Flamengo will never become a Sociedade Anônima do Futebol Flamengo is like Real Madrid. It doesn't need to become a Sociedade Anônima do Futebol, right? Right? A few months ago in Madrid, I invited my wife to dinner at the Santiago Bernabeu. She enjoyed it, but wondered why we chose the Bernabeu over another restaurant. I explained it was because someone recommended the meat there. Yeah, Otto, oh man. Without fully convincing her, we finished dinner and I couldn't hide it anymore to her. I want to see what the service is like. I want to see if the glass is crystal. I want to see what cutlery they use. I want to see the profile of the people who are at the stadium. In the end, she understood that we went there to get ideas for Flamengo and for Maracanã. Amazing BAP, amazing Flamengo, right? Look at what Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico de Madrid, Bayern Munich, Manchester City, and Paris Saint-Germain are doing. Flamengo thinks big, right? We also had BAP here talking about John Textor, right? Look, it's about Botafogo, about the Sociedade Anônima do Futebol issue. Again, he talked a lot about Sociedade Anônima do Futebol. What can't happen is what we're seeing, with a century-old club like Botafogo destroying Textor. Then you create in Sociedade Anônima do Futebol, that's it. You create in Sociedade Anônima do Futebol. You allow someone to buy the club and it ends up worse than it was before. Botafogo owed, I believe, 100 million euros. Someone buys the club. They were champions of the Brasileirão and Libertadores 24. They receive millions, they don't pay anyone anything, and they still increase the previous debt. There needs to be regulation. He also says the following, demanding punishment for clubs like Botafogo. If someone comes in with a lot of money and uses that money only to sign players without fulfilling any of their obligations, what's the point? There was a distortion in the concept of Sociedade Anônima do Futebol. Flamengo is against this kind of situation, and if there's no punishment, there has to be sporting punishment. There has to be a points deduction. You bought the club with a debt of 80 million, you agreed to pay it off, and then you increased the debt to 160 million. You don't pay anyone and you don't suffer any sporting or financial punishment. That's wrong. That's right. BAP has to be punished. Guys, this is absurd, okay? Now we also had BAP taking a jab at Leila Pereira, right? One more at John Textor. With John Textor, it was twice. With Leila, it was once. Check out what BAP said about Leila and Textor. Some clubs in Brazil have stadiums with artificial turf because they host concerts. They're in the wrong business. They should focus on show business and leave football behind. I was telling Leila the following. Your stadium, Leila's, Textor's, and the others. The one with synthetic turf, you have synthetic turf just to host concerts. You should focus on show business and give up football for good, right? BAP giving this interview to the AIS newspaper. Controversial, but very interesting, right? Going after John Textor twice and once after Leila Pereira. Talking about the issue, and with good reason, the issue of synthetic turf. They defend it because it's easier to hold concerts and everything there. Taking a little jab, right? Luis Eduardo Batista, BAP. I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe below, turn on notifications, and hit that like button on the video. Thank you very much for your company. Greetings, Bruno Negras. This is Flamengo, all right?